There was a young man who had lived in the countryside his entire life. His name was Jake, and he prided himself on knowing every road, trail, and hidden path in the area. But one evening, his confidence led him somewhere he could never have imagined. It started when Jake decided to take a different route home. The main road was closed for construction, and rather than backtrack, he noticed an old gravel path he had never taken before. Curiosity tugged at him, and he thought, why not? The setting sun bathed the horizon in hues of amber and violet, and the idea of a small adventure seemed harmless enough. The path began innocuously, winding gently through the forest. The air was cool, the chirping of crickets blending with the hum of his truck's engine. Jake relaxed, letting the road lead him. But as the trees thickened and the gravel gave way to dirt, an unsettling silence fell over the woods. The radio crackled before falling silent, leaving only the sound of his tires crunching the uneven ground. Soon, fog began to rise, thick and white, swallowing the road ahead. Jake slowed, squinting into the dim light cast by his headlights. That's when he saw it. A man standing by the side of the road. Jake hit the brakes, the truck skidding slightly before coming to a halt. The figure didn't move, didn't react, even as the headlights illuminated him. He wore a tattered coat, his face hidden in shadow. Jake rolled down the window cautiously. "Hey, you all right?" he called out. The man didn't answer. Instead, he raised a hand and pointed further down the road. His movements were deliberate, almost mechanical, sending a chill down Jake's spine. Against his better judgment, Jake nodded and continued driving. But as he glanced in the rearview mirror, the man was gone. The road twisted deeper into the forest, narrowing as the fog thickened. Jake's unease grew with each passing moment. When he checked his phone, there was no signal. Worse, when he looked back, the road he had been traveling on had vanished, replaced by dense undergrowth and gnarled roots. Panicking, Jake stopped the truck and got out, flashlight in hand. The forest was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. His breath fogged in the cold night air as he shone the flashlight around. The road had completely disappeared, leaving him surrounded by trees. Then came the whisper, low and guttural, slicing through the silence. "Turn around." Jake spun around, his flashlight trembling. Standing there, only feet away, was the man he had seen earlier. But now, something was horribly wrong. His face was blank, smooth, featureless, like a mannequin. Jake stumbled back, dropping the flashlight. Its beam rolled across the forest floor, revealing dozens of figures emerging from the fog. Each one was identical, their faces void of features, their movements unnervingly still. Scrambling to his truck, Jake slammed the door and fumbled for the keys. The figures didn't move closer, but their presence pressed down on him, suffocating and cold. The engine roared to life, and Jake floored the gas pedal. The road reappeared as suddenly as it had vanished, twisting and turning wildly as he sped forward. The fog began to thin, the oppressive silence giving way to the familiar hum of the truck's engine. Finally, Jake burst onto the main highway, the open sky above clear and star-filled. Shaking, he pulled over to catch his breath. His truck was scratched and battered, the tires worn as if he had driven for hours. When he looked back, the road he had just escaped was gone, swallowed entirely by the forest. Jake never found that path again, no matter how many times he searched. But sometimes, on misty nights, he sees shadowy figures standing at the edge of his property, their featureless faces turned toward him, and he knows they're waiting.